So hello y'all, we're here again this week with all these beautiful people. We're back with friends in the kitchen and today we are doing a special COVID edition because we missed y'all so much. We couldn't not be with y'all. So right now we're going to talk about something that is on everyone's hearts, everyone's minds. You're thinking about it, we're thinking about it. So we decided that why not think about it together and talk about it together. So today we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. We're going to talk about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Regis, everyone actually, not just them, but everything that's gone on since the start of the movement. So please, get yourself comfortable, get some food, because we're going to be eating. I got my green smoothie. Tobi got his Nest tea. Dapo A and W, Ashley, Ellen, Tosin. And just come on board with us. This is going to be a really relaxed convo. So we're so excited that you're with us today. So let's get started.
Hello, I'm Ellen. I am a Black Nigerian Canadian teacher. I teach high school science and social sciences, and I love Black people.
Hi, I'm Dapo A, but most of you know me as Dapo A, because I've made it easier for everyone to pronounce, but don't get it twisted. My full name is Dapo A. I am a proud Black man from Nigeria living in Canada. And I am a health consultant and entrepreneur, and I love food, and Black people.
Hello, my name is Simi. I am a Nigerian British Canadian. I am a student. I'm getting my JD MBA. I'm currently working as a lawyer. Big ups. The Nigerian parents told me the positions I could be, and I picked one or two. I'm also a podcaster. I have a podcast called Two Black Women. You should definitely follow us. And I love traveling, which is definitely not happening now. I'm a foodie. I eat and make everything. And I radically love Black people, like, till the day I die.
My name is Tobi Babalola. That's a full name. But you can call me Chef T because I cook a lot. I do this. But I am a proud Black man. I will always speak up for Black women. I love Black women. I intend on marrying a Black woman. I know two ways about that. When your parents tell you to narrow it down, you narrow it down to Black women. Because I want to touch on this. I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of videos of the way Black women are treated wrong, and I just want us as men, as Black men, to do better, protecting our women and always being there for them. And that's me. And I work in interior design, and I love traveling. Like Simi said, we're not going anywhere this year. I love partying, but we can't party. So I'm just out here living my best life in the house. That's it.
Hi, I'm Tosin I, and I'm currently a student getting my master's in behavior analysis, and I'm also currently a behavior therapist. I love food. I love to eat. I don't love to cook, but I do love to eat. I'm proud to be Black, and I can't wait to raise my Black family in the future with my Black husband and my Black children. And yeah, that's me.
My husband is not you, Tobi, so stop your dancing.
What's happening?
Hi, I'm Amina. That's all you're getting from me because I don't put my government identity on the internet. But anyways, I don't know. I forgot what I'm supposed to be saying, but welcome to my YouTube channel. I love food. I love traveling. I love Black people.
What do you do?
What do I do? I am a healthcare administrator. Don't search me on LinkedIn. You won't find me. Thank you. Black Lives Matter. Hashtag. Hashtag Zoom needs to work on this microaggression. Why is my afro rounded like this? Because that's not my hair. Fix up. Continue.
All right, guys. Hi, my name is Ashley Cimarron Teal. Kind of gotta give my full name because it's right there on the screen. I am a Canadian West Indian, Jamaica and Barbados to be exact, but I am first generation here in Canada. And I am an analyst, like data, business, and a little bit of project management. I do all of that at my workplace. I work in healthcare, and yes, I do love Black people as well. I'm also a dance teacher. I teach at a nonprofit studio for Black children, and that's my personal passion. That's how I like to put love back into my community. So,
love to see it. Love to see it. And we're social distancing
together.
Love to see it.
Actually, social distance. Thank you. There we go.
All right, so the first question or the first topic is actually was suggested by Simi Shalabo, and she wanted us to discuss the multiplicity of Black voices in the movement. So the movement being Black Lives Matter, anti-Black racism. So what is your take on that? Multiplicity is multiple voices, various voices of different opinions, different stances, difference in experiences. So what is your take on hearing and seeing the different opinions that Black people are having in this movement?
I'll start. So, most importantly, the first conversations I've been having with most people has been surrounding my own Black experience here in Canada. I tell everyone, yes, I am Black, but I am a Nigerian Canadian. So, excuse me. So what does that mean? Because a lot of people, when you say Black, African American, that gets interchanged so often that people forget we're still distinct. African Americans and Nigerian Canadians, yes, we're Black, but different experiences. My experience here as a Nigerian in Canada from an upper class family is vastly different than the average African American. So even me, I can't understand their plight as a Black person because it's not a lived experience of mine. So I'm here looking at their oppression and their experience, and I'm like, shit, pardon my language, here in Canada, I have not experienced anything close to that. I've had encounters of my own overt racism, but most of my experienced racism has probably been explicit. It's probably been systematic in some regard, whether or not I applied to a job, they looked at my name and were like, oh, maybe he's too foreign, maybe he doesn't speak English as well, or whatever other prejudice they had against me as a Black person. But in terms of experiencing the police brutality and that level of racism and oppression in the States, I can't speak to that. So when I tell people, it's not just everyone's being educated at this very moment. We're all taking the time to understand oppression from various angles. Because as a Black person, I'm empathizing because if I'm in the States, that could happen to me. But here in Canada, that's not my experience, so I can't even know their pain and outrage from their own lived experience. Only as a Black person, knowing that I can be prejudiced against, I can only share that level of pain. So I've been taking time to educate myself on the American system and their history of racism within their environments. So I think when it comes down to trying to share and give our opinions on this whole issue, it's always going to come from an individual lens, but a lens from your own shared and lived experience. And in doing so, we have to understand how our messages are coming across. Like certain Black people want a certain level of conversation. Certain Black people want a certain level of activism. Some people want to burn everything down and start from anew. Some people want to be more diplomatic and peaceful. Everyone has their own voice and their own right to explore these options in the way that they see fit. But at the same time, like the overall message is that it's a lifelong journey for all of us, white, other people of color, non-Black people. Every person has to take the time to educate themselves on this issue and find out within themselves which avenue is best for them. Like we cannot gatekeep the levels of activism. Like there's many paths on this same journey. And that's something we have to keep in mind, because I know a lot of people like, oh, like your silence is violence. Yes, to a certain extent, for sure. I'm not saying your silence on social media is violence. Like if you're around your white friends and you're perpetrating racial prejudice against other people and you're not saying anything, that's what we're talking about. When you're in the environment to make change or the opportunity to make change and you're not making change, that's when it becomes a problem. But you don't need a post to make me know that you're an ally. You don't need to reach out to me to let me know you're an ally. At the end of the day, that could all be performative. Like, I don't know. Only you know within your own person whether or not you're going to make the active changes to fight this issue. So I think overall, in terms of all the voices coming together, we have to unify more. Like, obviously, some messages need to get across that, like, listen, you're either for us or you're not. But how you're for us all depends on your own individual journey. And I think that's the main focus we should have.
That's a very good point. Did anyone want to add on to that?
I think from the part of saying that, you know, that like we're Nigerian Canadian men and we don't really experience that kind of, we don't really experience what they experience in the States to some extent, right? But I would say what I always tell people is that no matter where you're at, no matter where you go, you know, in Canada and the States, the person they see is Black, right? So a Black man. And then when they get to know you, that's when you're like, oh, you're from here, and they start asking you questions about huts and things, you know? So I would just say we just need to continue to educate each other. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, I do want to kind of echo what Dapo said. I do, as a Nigerian Canadian, I do feel I have a certain level of privilege because I have not actually experienced overt racism. I've experienced a lot of systemic racism. I've experienced a lot of implicit racism. I've not really experienced a lot of explicit racism. However, yes, we do have to also, as we were telling our white friends and other people of color to acknowledge their privilege, we also do have to acknowledge our privilege too. But also, in the same breath, we are still Black. At the end of the day, the color of our skin is still Black. When people see us, they see Black first. They don't see man, they don't see woman, they just see Black first, and then that's what they're primed to react to. I mean, I remember when I was in high school and I was on the bus on the way to a math exam, and I was just sitting there studying. It was a calculus exam, and the police stopped the bus and came onto the bus, and they saw me. They just beelined towards me and were like, "Were you at this place at this time and this place?" And I was like, and I looked around the whole bus and I realized, oh, I'm the only Black girl on the bus right now. Oh, okay. But like that was literally because I'm like, they're not walking towards me. I didn't do anything. But that's the first thing they see. They see that you're Black. They're going to come towards you first. So we do have to acknowledge, yes, we have privilege. Being Canadian also, we don't really experience a lot of racism that's overt. However, there is still racism built in our institutions that prevent us from excelling, well, not excelling, but prevents us from moving forward, from progressing sometimes, from achieving certain promotions, or certain positions in companies, or even to start our own business. So yes, there's a lot of privilege, and yes, all voices do matter. However, we have to make sure that the voice we are using is for the benefit of the movement and not the detriment of the movement. I'm seeing a lot on social media, and actually I was listening to Simi's podcast, Two Black Women, before this, and she was talking about policing people's voices and policing what other Black people have to say, because they all have different experiences. So she was saying something about how some Black people were like talking about how white people were amazing to them and great to them, and they've never experienced any racism from them. But at the same time, that's not the experience of other Black people. So we can't disvalue their experience. But at the same time, we should acknowledge that some people have not experienced racism, or they don't know they've experienced racism. So we have to be very, very careful in how we police people or not police people.
So I have thoughts. I echo and agree with some parts of what everyone says. So I have a very different experience. Like, I was born in the UK and then I moved to Canada. And so I was always considered Nigerian when I was in the UK, but the second I came to Canada, I was Black. I had the amazing opportunity, my parents thought, of being raised in a multicultural school, which at the time just meant there was a lot of non-Black people and a lot of people from other cultures. So I thought it was amazing. I had some great experiences, but even on the first day of school, like, I experienced like overt racism. And that's what's kind of funny when we talk about the fact that this only happens in America, or, oh, Canada isn't as bad as America, but it is. It's equally as bad. It's just we always hide behind this. We're Canadians and we're so nice, and we can apologize things away, but we don't actually have to go to the root issue. There's actually a petition happening right now talking about the anti-Black racism that children face in Ontario schools, because it's very overt. Children are being told from grade 8 that they can't even go to academic programs, that they have to go to applied programs because they won't make it in university. So we have to remember that this starts young, and like, children, sometimes they don't even know what's happening, or that they're being treated differently based on the color of their skin. And so they just kind of live their life like expecting the bare minimum from themselves. But it's like, no, you have to realize that there's a really big system problem. I always tell my friends, like, I've experienced racism at every single educational level of my life, like, except law school. Law school, I went to the blackest law school. I go to the blackest law school. So it happens there, but systematically, no one has been overtly racist to me. But it's one of those things where it isn't that it's not as bad in Canada. We're talking about Regis, like justice for Regis, similar to like what we heard in America when the Black man got shot by the white cop who came into her house. Do you remember that story? I can't remember his name right now, but there was a white woman who came into a Black man's house and shot him because she thought that he was in the wrong house. Like, of course, it's a different story with Regis, but we're seeing similar stories of police brutality. And that's the one thing people need to realize. This movement isn't just about police brutality. It's about the fact that there's systematic injustice. But the one big thing I want to say about the multiplicity of Black voices is some people have been in this movement forever. Like, their whole life is based on this movement. I happen to be one of them, which of course did not make me the most popular person in high school. But there are some Black people who are joining the conversation now because it's becoming personal to them. And I think we really need to understand that it doesn't matter when you join the movement, it just matters that you're a part of it, because we're not just fighting for the radical Black people who've been doing this movement forever, we're fighting for everyone. And we just want to see a better world for the next generation. So I think there needs to be a multiplicity of Black voices in the movement.
And just to add a little to what everyone has said, joining this movement doesn't mean, being pro-Black doesn't mean you're anti-white. And so I find that a lot of, I've heard from a lot of Black people that, they try not to step on toes so that it doesn't seem as though they are anti-white. But just because you're pro-Black does not automatically mean that you're anti-white. So you can have a voice and you can speak out against racism without, thinking that you're opposing another race or that you are being racist towards another race. And Dapo, I just wanted to speak on what you said. You commented on the fact that you don't necessarily have to post on social media to have a voice. And to some degree, I agree. Posting on social media doesn't mean that you're doing anything, behind the scenes. And I agree with that. But I also believe that if you're able to, post and get the word out there, why not? Like, what is stopping you? Literally, there's nothing stopping you from posting and speaking out publicly on social media and getting the word out there on social media. I've heard things like, oh, I don't need to post because, I'm doing things in the background. And that's great. But it's like, when you have that platform to speak on social media, you might as well use it. And so I just wanted to comment on just that.
Yeah, and to add to that, like, it came to a point where, so two things that you said. So the aspect of being Black and not wanting to step on anyone's toes. And like, it took me a long time to realize, like, why am I apologizing for my Blackness as if that's an inconvenience to you? Like, why is my well-being predicated on what you feel? So beyond, like, before George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, before this last month of all these tragedies, every time it happened in the States, I'm like, should I post something? Am I going to post something? What do I post? Like, am I going to post and forget about it? Because the short-livedness of news these days, like, people just forget. So it's like, am I going to take it upon me to consistently post, advocate, and beyond this week's tragedy? Like, is this something I'm going to take upon myself to do all the time? And before, that's what held me back. I'm like, no, I'm not going to post about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll like the pages, like, I'll inform myself about the situation and hopefully change some minds and talk to people. But like, when Ahmaud Arbery, that happened, and like, watching that video, like, then something snapped within me being like, why are you afraid of you standing up for human life? Blackness aside, like, why are you afraid for seeking justice for someone murdered in broad daylight? And so when it clicked to me, my own self within that mindset, I was just like, geez. All right, and that's when I started posting more and like educating myself and like finding the right pages to follow. And then on the inverse side too, like, the amount of people I've seen post more recently, especially with the Blackout Tuesday, like, there's been some, mixed reception towards that. But I just love seeing the certain people who I never expected would have said anything and have just been silent, throughout the entire time I followed them on social media. Like, that one piece, that Black square, was just a moment of solidarity that let me know that, okay, at least they've aligned themselves to this movement in some regard. But then at the same time, I didn't want to start mentally ostracizing people who didn't and think that, like, oh, should I devalue my friendship with them because they haven't said anything right now? It's like, there's this weird conflict of like, if they didn't say anything, why have to be considered my friendship? So especially for the ones that are closest to me that I can attest for their personal character and like the kind of work they'll do in the background, I'm like, you know what, I'll give them a bit of a slide. Like, I still think everyone should participate in the awareness portion in some capacity, especially if you have social media and you post stories and you post regardless, right? So what's one share button? So I definitely agree on that capacity. But I just have seen a lot of people like saying, like, if my friend doesn't post within the next couple of days, then I'm going to reconsider our entire friendship. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that extreme. Like, have conversations and understand what they might be doing on the other side rather than social media. But overall, like, everyone should be taking part in some sort of awareness, because that's the first start to leading to conversations like this.
Yeah, but another thing is that for Black people, because I was like in a position where I wanted to post so bad, like when this happened, because this has been happening for a while. So I wanted to post like back then, and then it's like, you're in a position professionally, where you're thinking, okay, I'm the only black person at my workplace. I'm maybe a minority, obviously, at work. Do I post this? This is going to affect, the way they see me at work is going to affect. Am I going to get a call from a manager talking about, you have to talk about this shit, this thing? Sorry about that. But it's something that you realize that a lot of black people are not in the position to be flexible with the way they're perceived at work, right? So if they're seen as, if you say no at work, you can be seen as aggressive, right? You can be seen some type of way. So when it comes to posting on social media, I understand why some black people don't do it, because they still have to work, right? And most of the jobs that they have are like not the best, and that's all they can pretty much, that's all they can afford to do right now, and they don't want to lose that. So I don't really like knocking on people for that, to be honest. But that's what I wanted to say.
So I have points for both of yours. So for Dapo, when you said like, oh, you don't have to like automatically delete them. First of all, I didn't give my friends 48 hours to like post anything, but my delete button was strong during this week. I was like, oh, I haven't heard anything from you, sis. Cool, bye. Because for me, I'm going to just say this, I have been in multiple spaces of anti-Black racism directly towards me, and some of these people were silent. And I think for me, I forgot, like, and going through like the whole survival thing, I forgot that I have the right to delete you. Like it's not my job to educate you. You've literally, one of the people that I deleted, she won't ever watch this, so I don't really mind. She stood there while some white man told me that I can go back to the field and pick cotton after I had finished a task. And I was like, and I looked around and there was a whole bunch of other, like 10 to 12 white people who said nothing, who just watched. And I remember looking at all of them, and they all have individual friendships with me, supposedly. And I was like, yeah, and at the time I was a lot younger. So I was like, what do I do? So I just walked away, but no one said anything to me that rest of the day. And then I saw her on Instagram, all of this stuff was happening. And instead of like posting, she was like self-promoting about herself. And I was like, you know what? I have the right to not have to deal with anything. You don't like my posts. You don't basically like me. You've never stood up for me. And so instead of me having to watch you self-promote for the rest of the week and not care about my life again, like, I can delete you. And when I deleted her, I felt so much peace. And so really find your peace and protect it. And if somebody has a problem with it, she can definitely message me and I could gladly tell her why I deleted her. The second part I would say is I completely understand how some Black people feel like it's survival, right? Like I need to get to work. I have coworkers on Instagram. Like, what will they say? What will they think? And I think I'm very privileged in the sense that like my office put up a statement on Wednesday and made a donation before I even had to say anything. And I know that's a lot of like not everyone has that work experience, but there is something to be said about the fact that like, I always think we're here for such a time as this, and if we don't speak now, when will we speak, and when will we hold companies accountable? So, I mean, if your colleague is really not about it, wouldn't you like to know now? Ask them to pull up, as Rihanna said. And if they can't, like, are you sure that that is the safest space for you to work in? And if you find out it isn't, like, are you willing to do the work to kind of create that safer space? Because you really have to remember, it's not about us, it's about the next generation of people who are coming after us. And if we don't do it, then someone else has to do it. And the space probably won't be as kind as it is right now.
Sorry, I'm eating butter chicken and it's so good.
No, but I'm gonna dig into my second burger now, actually.
A burger? Oh, I forgot.
I ate all my good stuff. I have to finish off like this green smoothie I made.
Oh, boring.
No.
I'm enjoying my weekly floating chicken burger.
I'm so sorry. Are you rubbing it in my face?
That's exactly what he's doing.
I'm enjoying so that your pain is not as much, right? So
Thank you so much.
You enjoy through me.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Just can't do good all around, you know?
Toby, what are you eating?
Fruits, I had banana. I'm gonna have strawberries. I'm healthy today because I'm gonna have
Did you do with strawberries in the water and salt?
I did. I actually did. I was waiting. I was there like, yo, where's this spot? Where's this spot? And it's clean. I was disappointed. I was like, God damn, because I wanted to record it so I could go viral.